time to tier rank the Stephen King books I've read. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I'm doing a daunting task of ranking the 59 Stephen King books I have read. I am planning to try and do this in under 20 minutes. I am including Storm of the Century and the collections I have read, so those are going to be fun to rank. Yay. But yeah, these are set up in no specific order, but I do have the 5 tiers, basically like good book, bad book, and then in between, so which you'll see on your screen in a minute. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's start ranking some books. Alright, so you should see my table on the screen here. I have got God tier, which is obviously like the best book ever. Just Missed the Mark, a very good book. Some 5 stars could end up in this category. Average, just basic meh kind of book. Tolerable, so that is a category that might get filled up because I'm planning to put books that I don't remember all that well into that category, so a lot of collections might end up in there. And then hot garbage, just books that purely sucked and I did not like. Again, this is just my take on these books, and I'm planning to do this in under 20 minutes. I've got a timer to the right of me here, to your left, and I'm going to start it as I start going. Again, I'm not going to talk about each book thoroughly. I'm just going to say, road work, I thought this. That's it. I'm going to move right on. So, we're going to get this thing started. I'm going to hit my timer, and let's begin. Alright, first book is Roadwork. Who wrote this is Richard Bachman. I am going to put this in the average category. Just kind of felt like an average book. Wind Through the Keyhole. I'm going to put this in hot garbage. I personally didn't like it. I didn't think it was necessary, and when I do my reread of The Dark Tower starting in August, that might change to maybe average or tolerable. I don't know. Misery. I'm putting this in, not the category I just dropped it in that one. Just Missed the Mark. The only thing I did not like about this was the little spurts of the story that Paul Sheldon is writing. I thought they were unnecessary. I thought if we didn't get that, this book would be definitely God tier. Also not giving you star ratings on this. Check out my Goodreads for those. Just After Sunset, I'm going to put intolerable. I do not remember the stories in this all that well. But I remember when I did read it, I thought it was enjoyable. So I'm going to put it intolerable. Elevation. I thought this book was hot garbage. It's really short. Definitely one of the worst $30 I've spent on a hardcover book. It's not even like a book. It's like a pamphlet. Story, whatever. Again, when I do my rereads of all these, a lot of these could change, but it's just, to me, I just didn't like the story. Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I'm going to put this in average. I thought it was a really good book. It's just one of those weird books that I thought he wrote. I just kind of was like, whatever. The Colorado Kid. I am putting this in hot garbage. I did not like the story. It was not really that memorable. I just remember it being about a killer who gets killed and we're like, somebody's interviewing somebody. I could be wrong, but we're not trying to find a killer. I think the killer is already dead and they're just telling his story. And I definitely didn't care for that. Wizard in Glass. Time to get the backlash comments. I am going to put this in hot garbage for now. When I read this book, I did not like it. When I read this book, I was not a seasoned Stephen King, I consider, vet. Which goes for most of the books in this hot garbage category as of right now. So bear with me, because that could end up being an average or just missed the mark. For right now, it's hot garbage, because I didn't like where it's placed in the storyline. Cycle of the Werewolf. I'm putting this in tolerable. I thought Silver Bullet, the movie, was better. Gary Busey was a tank. And I just thought the premise was okay. I thought it was alright. Like a werewolf story. I just hated how short it was and how, it kind of seemed comical at times. Later, I'm putting this in just missed the mark. This book was really good. It had references to previous works. I don't want to mention them because if you haven't read this, I don't want to spoil it for you. Yeah, I'm going to put that in just missed the mark for right now. Rose Matter. I'm putting this in average. A lot of you probably think I'd put this in hot garbage, but I read this book going into it knowing that it was a not as Stephen King written book. That didn't make any sense, but I'm going to roll with it. I'm not going to even describe what that means. When I do, I'm going to do a video with this book in it, and I'll describe what it means in that video, whether that goes up before this or after this. Needful Things. Just missed the mark. Book was way too long, in my opinion. There's way too many details on the town, way too many. It just felt like it dragged a little bit, but the premise was magnificent. I thought it was very well written. I gave it 5 stars. I gave Misery 5 stars. Later, I think I actually gave 5 stars. But I just thought Needful Things was just a little too long. I felt like some of the stuff could have been cut. But overall, it's a great story. Blaze. I'm going to put this in tolerable. This book kind of reminded me of Freak the Mighty when I read that in middle school. Or no, not Freak the Mighty. Who was it? Kind of like of Mice and Men, I would say. There's like the big brute who's kind of dumb, and then there's the small guy who's really smart. Only like the small guy who's smart dies and is like telling the big brute what to do. I don't know. It was tolerable. I didn't really care for it that much. Dolores Claiborne, I'm going to put in average. I thought it was a decent book. It was a funny story. The Dolores is like a badass character. I thoroughly enjoyed her. Different Seasons. This is a hard one for me to rank. 2 of these stories are absolutely perfect. One of them is average. The 4th one, Apt Pupil, in my opinion, is not as good. I have to put this in Just Missed the Mark. Just because of Apt Pupil, in my opinion. The Breathing Method I thought was better than Apt Pupil. But again, to each their own. The Tommyknockers. This is another one that's kind of hard for me to rank. I'm going to put it in Just Missed the Mark. I actually really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was great. I just thought there were some parts that just felt off. Like it's a book about like aliens, but they're not quite really thoroughly involved. It's just like a spaceship. A lot of people hate this book, but I thought it was pretty decent. So I'm going to put it in Just Missed the Mark. Gwendy's Button Box. Tolerable. Book was okay. There was nothing like magical about it. I might have actually even given this like 5 stars. Maybe it was 4. But it was really short. Whatever. It was tolerable. I enjoyed it. Cujo. I got to put it in Just Missed the Mark. This book was very good. You know, I might just talk myself in. This is why this is going to be hard. I'm coming up at halfway here. Just Missed the Mark. I got to speed this up. Just Missed the Mark was not as good as I thought it was. Well, it was really good, but whatever. Insomnia. Just Missed the Mark. This book was really long. I thought it was needed to be long, but I was expecting a few more Dark Tower references than I was led on to believe. Made it kind of seem like there was like way more Dark Tower stuff in it, but to me it just kind of felt like there wasn't. I don't know. Christine, God Tier. First God Tier book. This book is fucking amazing. And pardon my French, but this book it's in my top 10. It's one of the best King books I've read. One of the best books I've read. It's just really good. Regulators. I'm putting this in hot garbage for right now. Again, I read this before I read Desperation. Didn't know a whole lot about the whole backstory of the desert person. Again, I haven't read this book in like 2-3 years. Same with Desperation, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to reread both of these. But I'm going to read them in order. Desperation, Regulators. I guess there really isn't an order. It doesn't really matter. I just didn't really enjoy it as much as I should have. The Long Walk. I am putting this, my finger can only go so far. It's not going there. God Tier. This book is really good. It's absolutely stunning. I unfortunately have just read some books that kicked it out of being in my top 5. I actually don't even think it was in my top 10. But it's still a very magnificent book. I absolutely love it. This was the first King book I read, and I definitely need to read it again. Gerald's Game. Going right next to Dolores Claiborne. It's an average book. Girl gets chained up, doing kinky time, things don't go well. Thinner. Just Missed the Mark. This book is probably one of my favorite Bachmans. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Cell. Ha ha ha. This book started, just missed the mark, but at one point it turned into hot crap. It was bad. Couldn't even, I didn't even want to like read it anymore. The Eyes of the Dragon. I'm going to put this in average. This book was, I don't want to say it was just missed the mark. This book was average. I thought it was really good. I am hoping Fairy Tale, which comes out in September, has got some references to this book. But I thought it was pretty intriguing how they did it. Joyland. I'm going to put intolerable. Better than the Colorado Kid, but I would say it's a little less than average. I like the story, like the premise, but again, those like thriller books by King just haven't really hit for me all that well. Full Dark, no stars. I gotta put intolerable just because I don't remember the stories all that well. I've read a lot of collections from him, and I blank out. I'm not saying like I forget the stories, but like if I were to look at the titles within the story collection, I would remember them. But offhand, only one I remember is Different Seasons and maybe a few other ones. All right, Storm of the Century. I'm going to put this in just missed the mark. I thought it was a really good story. It was a good premise, good idea. There were just some parts I didn't enjoy. So, Storm of the Century is just going to be just missed the mark. Buick 8, I'm going to say is average. I enjoyed it. It was a good book. It's kind of missed. Night Shift. I'm going to say this was average. A lot of good stories in here. A lot of bad ones. It's hit or miss. So I'm going to put it in average. Billy Summers. This is a hard one. I'm going to say just missed the mark for this book. This book was really good for most of the time. There were some times where I just didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to. And I'm going to put The Institute in there next to that too, because The Institute was a book, I think I gave it 5 stars. I gave Billy Summers 5 stars. Both were really good books. The Institute just kind of fell off a little bit for me. It kind of seemed to drag. I followed the story very well, and then I just kind of lost interest. It seemed things were kind of getting repetitive with it, so I just lost the interest. Dr. Sleep. I'm going to put this in average. I thought the book was good. It was a good sequel to The Shining. I thought it could have been better. That is my honest opinion of that book. So I'm going to leave it at that. Under the Dome. Just missed the mark. Way too long. Very long book. Ending was, I don't want to call it subpar, but it was very weird. Very supernatural. But just wasn't top tier for me. The Green Mile, however, I, again, just can't reach the top. God tier. Such a good book. I cried in this book. I cried in the movie. If you've seen this movie or have read this book, you know why. Oh, man. Mr. Jangles. Lovely guy. The Dead Zone. God tier. Where else was this going? This book is phenomenal. Absolutely love this book. Johnny Smith, great character. Loved everything about this book. Dreamcatcher. Where's this going? Just missed the mark? Nope. God tier. I think Dreamcatcher is a God tier book. At me, please. Because I think this book is... There's a turn where it goes from, like, a nice, like, friendly... I wouldn't say friendly, but, like, weird atmospheric book to, like, aliens real quick. And the flip, in my opinion, worked. Fight me. Salem's Lot. I'm going to put this in God tier. Very good book. Vampires. Absolutely love it. Not much I really hate about the book. If It Bleeds, I'm going to put in average, and I just thought it was an average book. Average collection. It was alright. Carrie. Just missed the mark. When I reread this book, it might be God tier, but Carrie for me just misses. Just barely. Firestarter, I'm going to put in just missed the mark. Book I thought was really good. I reread it and I put it in my top 10. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. But there are just some parts where I feel like it's just... I can't say spoilers. I've only got like 7 minutes left to do the rest of these two. So, Pet Cemetery, God tier, no shit. Gwendy's Final Task. I'm gonna put this in average. I thought it was an alright book, better than Button Box, a hell of a lot better than Feather. So it's gonna go there. The Outsider, average. Thought it was okay. There are some things I feel like could have been better, but what are you going to do? The Shining, that is going right in front of Christine as my biggest God tier book. So, yeah, definitely going up there. Skeleton Crew, I'm going to put this in, I'm going to put in average, if I can actually get it there. I thought the book was okay. I'm also going to put The Stand. The Stand I'm going to put in average. I need to reread this book. I read this very soon and early in my King career. Big mistake. I definitely needed to be more seasoned. I thought it was an okay book. Desperation, I'm going to put in Just Missed the Mark. Another book. Very long. I don't know why it was as long as it was, but it was very good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, we are going to get into some Dark Tower books finally. And these are the ones that I think are going to be the hardest to rank. Wastelands is by far my favorite. I'm going to put it in God tier. I thought Wastelands was probably the best one out of all of them. That's actually very false. I'm putting this in Just Missed the Mark. My favorite is coming up. Song of Susanna I thought was tolerable. I personally think this book probably could have been sprinkled in between. I mean, it was in between Wolves of the Kala and the Dark Tower. But I feel like it could have technically been, like, I feel like he rushed it. He got in his accident in the early 2000s, and then he's like, I need to finish the Dark Tower. So he wrote 3 books in a row. All 3 of them. And I feel like he definitely could have spaced it out more. Song of Susanna, I feel like, is, out of the last 3 he wrote, besides Went Through the Keyhole, is like the dullest of the 3. Wolves of the Kala, great fighting, amazing stuff. The Dark Tower, it's the end. Song of Susanna, she gives birth. I think that's like the biggest thing that you get out of this book. 4 Past Midnight, average. I like the stories in this book. The Library Policeman is the dullest. What's in this one? The Sundog, Library Policeman, Secret Window, Secret Garden, The Langoliers. There we go. Holy crap, I finally remembered one. The Langoliers I thought was meh. Secret Window, pretty solid. I will say The Library Policeman was an alright story. I thought it was kind of like eerie and creepy how they were doing it. So that's going to go there. I'm putting it in God tier. This was one of the ones I did not reread. It was my #1 favorite King for years. I definitely need to reread it. I need to readdress this book. That is 1,000% accurate. Rage. Oh, man. Where do I put this book? I need like a 6 category for I can't rank this. I'm going to put it... If I had a 6th, I'd put it between average and tolerable. I didn't hate it, but it's very controversial. There's a reason why it got pulled from the shelves of stores, and it's truer now more than ever. I'm going to put it in tolerable. I think it's an okay book. That doesn't mean what happens in the book is okay, but it's a story. It's a fictional story. Wolves of the Kala, I'm going to put in average. I thought it was a very solid story. There was good fighting and good action in it. Just, like I said, I felt like he rushed the last 3 books. So, even The Dark Tower, which I'll skip 2 books ahead, grab that, and I'll put that in average as well. I thought it was a good story. I just feel like he rushed it too much. The ending also pisses me off. A couple of the characters who died, it really pisses me off. All right. Next up, we have got... Who is this? Is this the Running Man? Yeah, the Running Man. I did not do the Running Man yet. Where are you going to go, Running Man? You're not in hot garbage. You are in tolerable. I'm going to put that in tolerable. It's a book that's tolerable for me. I liked it. You know what? The problem is if I put something in another category, I'm going to lose the books to grab, and I don't want to do that. So, the Gunslinger, I'm going to put in average. I thought it was a very good way to start the series that we eventually got, and I think it was a very solid way to start it off. When I reread it in August, it could change. I don't know. The Drawing of the Three, God tier. This book is absolutely stunning. I absolutely love this book. I need to try and scroll down a bit. There you go. Now you can see my listing here. So those are all 59 ranked. I did do it in under 20 minutes. I've got like a minute left. It was just I'm going to stop that. It's hard to do this.
Sorry, I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. It looks like an issue with the router and echo device, so try restarting them. Unplug both of them, then plug the router back in. Wait 30 seconds. Once the router is back on and connected to the internet, plug in the echo device.
No. I think this is pretty solid as of right now. I, again, have to reread some of these books. The ones that I have reread, they're pretty solidified. I think this is a good final ranking for what I have currently. Again, I got to reread a bunch of them. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please try not to hate the hell out of me too much with my rankings. Again, this is just my opinion. There's no true set list of Stephen King books. People can write them how they want. I know people who absolutely hate The Shining, and I love it. So people love Wizard and Glass. I don't like it right now. But yes, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.